Amber Heard 2.0? Well, you know, Blake Lively is starting to put on a show. An uncovered video from years ago now gives us some idea of just what kind of wife Blake Lively might be to poor Ryan Reynolds, and why indeed she is a troublesome actress when she appears on the sets of those who thought they had hired someone to play a role and not take over entirely. We'll show you what is being called by some an incriminating piece of evidence right now. Hello, folks, and welcome back. It is a sunny day indeed, and we are happy to have you joining us as we continue to feed out to the nation what is happening all across entertainment industries, companies, and bringing it to you hot, fresh, straight off the plate, and great in a way that other channels simply must admire. Folks, we never tire of doing it. Click the like button. We'll talk about Blake Lively. She could indeed now be causing Disney, Ryan Reynolds, and more heartburn. Oh no, it's Amber Heard 2.0? Could be. Here we go. Take a look at this. This is Amber Heard 2.0 level kind of cringe, and we're going to get to it in just a minute. Looks like Disney is not going to get the win here. This could actually do some real damage to Ryan Reynolds, and he is one of the last things working for Marvel. Get ready. As we dive into this, folks, we got to say, too, that this is a story that is in the making, and please note that we are giving our opinions on the topic. We are not making any objective statements. Some of these details as they roll out could be part of propaganda, could be part of efforts to get a leg up in legal affairs, but when it's on video, we have to report on it. Here it is. From Dell in the City over on X, it says, this has to be a PR nightmare. Blake Lively just incriminated herself. Again, this is from Dell in the City, not from us. This resurfaced video doesn't just prove Justin Baldoni right. It exposes exactly why she tried to take over. It ends with us. She admits she doesn't like just showing up as an actor. She wants full control over a project, even when it's not hers. That's not passion. That's ego, privilege, and narcissism. If Blake Lively wants to run everything, maybe she should write, direct, and produce her own movies instead of just trying to steal. Thankfully, Justin kept records of everything, and now this bombshell could cost Blake hundreds of millions, and rightfully so. Now, I don't know. That seems a little exaggerated. Yeah, hundreds of millions. I don't know about that. We're not
that would presume, just like we rightly presumed with the Reedy Creek debacle, her future earnings. I don't think she ever would have earned that much, and especially not now.
The only way I see it possibly getting into numbers, even approximating that, and it's still too far, is if Ryan Reynolds gets sucked into this with the nice pool stuff, and I think that's the stretch of the stretch. Let's play the video, and we'll weigh in on it. Here we go.
It's just as important to say, okay, I believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the asshole in the room? Like, what is happening here? I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just like be an actor. Like I want to have more authorship.
It's kind of like you hire somebody to be your custodian, and no disrespect meant whatsoever to custodians, but you hire somebody to be a custodian and suddenly they're showing up in your C-suite telling you what's going to happen with your executive decisions. Well, yeah, there's going to be pushback to that. You were hired to do one role, and you came in with the anticipation that your activism means you have to be in another role. However, I don't know that this goes so far as to be incriminating for herself, although it could point to the idea that she sees herself in a way that is not existent in contracts, and thus puts her into positions where she might be doing things that are inappropriate. Panel, what do you think about this latest video and the situation where Blake Lively, I mean, at this point, her claims, from my viewpoint, have largely been dismissed by the evidence put out by Baldoni. Now, there's a legal system that's got to play out. I don't want to presume totally. Maybe it's altered. Maybe it's changed. But at this point, the evidence isn't strong. And now we're getting videos from her in her past where she seems to indicate she doesn't understand barriers. I guess that's the best way to put this, is she doesn't understand boundaries very well. What do you all make of it? And maybe we go to Lou, since Lou has such significant Hollywood experience on this.
I told you, I think last time we discussed this, I think this is a case of her wanting to come out from under the shadow of her husband. And it's an ego thing. And look, this woman telling you, well, but even though you hired me as an actor, that's not what I want to be. You know what it's like? There's a story about the guy coming around looking for work, and he knocks on the door, says, can I do something? The guy says, yeah, well, actually, here's a bucket of brown paint. Could you go out back and paint my porch? I'll give you $50. He comes back in a little bit. He says, I got it all painted. He says, here's the 50. He says, by the way, you know, that's not a porch. That's a Ferrari. All right. That's the kind of idiocy that this is.
All right. He's here all night, folks. He's here all night.
Try the veal. Yes. But she'll cook it for you too, because she knows better than the chef.
Well, no, she'll tell the chef how to cook it. That she's not touching the veal itself. Too good for that. By the way, when she's doing the, I don't know if you all noticed, I can't imagine how loud it must be to be her with all of those sequins and pieces, because the mic was picking it up, and it must be deafening as she walks around, the little sounds of all that stuff. So if you heard it,
jingle all the way.
That's right. That's right. Jonas, tell us about Blake Lively, and how do you think this is going to play out in terms of Ryan Reynolds and whether this gets on him or not? Maybe
a friend of mine once said that women view good looks in a man as a compliment to a nice personality, and that men view good looks in a woman as an excuse for a horrible personality.
Oh.
I will say that a lot of men are willing to overlook some really glaring red flags if they're good looking. And it seems like she's agreeing with the idea that she was hired for her looks. And now they are going to have a crazy ex on their hands, it seems like, here. So
yeah, you got to wonder too, these people that she's talking about, are they next? Is her fury going to be aimed at them? Because they wanted her to stand on the X like everyone else, say the line, and then let's move on. And she didn't seem to have, she thought that the contract came with benefits.
Well, the other thing I'll add is that her performances are not performances that people really talk about. She's not that great of an actress. She just appears to have an oversized amount of influence on
projects. If she was the greatest actress in the history of acting, don't you think this video says to any potential future employer, we don't need this aggravation. Get me somebody else.
She's more famous for being Ryan Reynolds' wife than she's famous for any role she's played.
Agreed. And poor Paul Feig has her on A Simple Favor 2 coming up, and I don't know who cares about that movie. It's not me. Maybe there is an audience for it, but I think that this just becomes a different red flag. There are other cute actresses out there to hire for roles.
This little speech in its own way is worse career suicide than Rachel Zegler.
How so, Lou?
Because, like I say, nobody wants to hire somebody who's crazy and going to give them a hard time, and who doesn't understand, as you said, the limits, the barriers to what they're being hired to do. There's too many fish in the sea to pick this one.
Right. Can you imagine if the carpenter that's supposed to build the set suddenly decided, oh, no, I know you want me to go build this and that, but I was hired in my mind to do these other things. I'm going to go over here to the cameraman and tell them where to point. And
what I really want to do is direct.
Right.
It's the classic line, right? So Great. Want it. Get a job doing it, but don't do it anyway.
So Vash, everybody wants to be boss. Most people do, right? Everybody wants to be the head chef even before they've learned how to cut the vegetables and the produce. Is this, however, getting her into an Amber Heard 2.0 situation, you think? And should Disney be very concerned now about the damage it could do to their Deadpool and Wolverine or Deadpool character.
I'd be very concerned about that. Remember, she was actually in Deadpool and Wolverine as Ladypool, if I'm not mistaken there. So she's already inserted herself in there.
She's
actually.
in the can.
No, I was actually going to say that very analogous to Amber Heard, and it's not to necessarily put them on the same level for sure, but this
It's
whole
not as deep
idea
a
of
pile of insert expletive here, but it's close.
this whole idea of like, oh, I want to be more than just an actor, right? I want to do important things and do all this kind of stuff. We've heard this kind of tale before, and she even says right there, inserting herself into certain projects and various things. We know that's the allegation by Baldoni when it comes to the production of the film that they were in together. So it's just, as Jonas has kind of outlined, it's all consistent with some red flags that have been going on. And I do agree. I think this might actually end up hurting, really Ryan Reynolds' prospects going forward. Because as I've said before when working this topic, he is really cultivating the brand that is very unique. And I think it loses a lot of that appeal when you add the situation in. And people, come to the conclusion of, well, okay, if she's willing to do this or if she's capable of doing this, what does that say about him? I think is the next logical inference that a lot of people make. And I think that's going to really hurt his prospects. And, well, Disney wants to do more work with him, I'm sure. And how's that all going to flesh out? I think this has a real chance of going sideways.
But again, folks, if you're thinking that there's going to be $100 million countersuit, don't hold your breath. That's probably, they could ask for anything, but the chances of it happening, listen, Ryan Reynolds is not going from Mint Mobile to a Mint Mobile home. It's not going to happen unless he's there to get ready on the set. Lou, finish us up here. What do you think?
All I was going to say was Disney is going to sit Ryan Reynolds down in a quiet room all by himself without his wife and say, we want to make 1 million of these, but not if your wife's involved. Figure that out. Let us know what you think.
That's right.
Period.
All right.
Period.
That's the situation, and period. We'll wrap it up. As ever, folks, we endeavor to have a good time here on the Pro Channel, and I have to say that spending time with you, talking about things that truly matter, like the stories that shape our lives and our culture, well, it is the ride of a lifetime to steal from Bob Iger. And that's the only thing we'll steal from Bob because he has great security around his yacht. Folks, as we get ready to say goodbye, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. And folks, worry not, for more content is still on the way. 3 or 4 times a day. Let's do 4. I think that's better. And you know what? Don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Eastern. You can also join us for our friends on That Park Place, our partner program. We have a good time there too. Folks, until the next time we get the opportunity to have a good time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.